Hello, welcome to Inspiring Women with ADHD. I'm Renee Allen, the host of this podcast. Excited to be here today. How's your week going? It is February if you're listening today, the day it came out, or the rest of the month. We're in February. I'm always a little blown away by a new month. Like, wow, it's February. But, let me see. I feel like I'm adjusting the wrong camera here. Here we go. Okay. I don't know if you get distracted when you go on Zoom, but I learned with the COVID days when we were on Zoom all the time that anytime I was on a Zoom call, I just couldn't stop being distracted by how I looked on the screen. And it wasn't an insecurity thing. It could be I want to move and I can't move, or I don't know. Yeah, probably fidgeting more than anything, but it's super distracting. And I should have known better when I started adding video to my podcast or recording on video that I could easily be distracted. But here I go. So it's a work in progress for sure. But I'm excited to be here to talk to you about the resistant brain, the resistant mind. Do you have a mind that challenges thoughts that you have, not just thoughts that other people have? We often challenge things in our minds. I don't want to do that, or I don't agree with that, or whatever. But do you ever have an idea of, okay, what's the priority today? What do I need to work on? And then you decide, you make that decision. And as soon as you do, you think of all these reasons why you shouldn't do it now. And you think, well, I don't actually, okay, I need to exercise. I think I'll go walking outside. Well, it's actually really cold. I think I'll wait till later. Well, you have all these little thoughts as if you were a teacher in school and you have a classroom full of kids that tell you why they don't want to do something. And this happens a lot. It happens to me. I would say I notice it almost every day when I'm trying to make decisions, when I'm trying to pursue ideas, when I even am just trying to get dressed in the morning. I'm thinking, okay, I should wear this because, and I teach yoga. I have a lot of leggings. And if I make the decision the night before, I've talked about that, the next morning goes way better if you plan it out the night before. The night before, maybe your brain's a little more relaxed. You're not in a hurry. You're not thinking, I still need to do this, or this. You're not in a time restraint, except for maybe going to bed. And in some ways, it's kind of nice because it feels good to delay something. So you could, be really chill about it because I have all the time in the world, even though I should go to bed. So you're resisting the going to bed thing. But I look at my leggings and first think, okay, I'm teaching hot yoga. I'll wear shorts. Well, now it's wintertime. And at some point, I stopped wearing shorts to hot yoga because if I wanted to teach poses that required my some kind of grip between the arms and the legs. So I don't know if you've done crow pose before, but you put your legs on, let me see, on on your arms. It's an arm balance. And if you are super sweaty, you have shorts on, you will slip and it doesn't work very well. If you have leggings on, even if you're sweating more because you have leggings on, you won't be sweating where the leggings are. So you can have that grip. So there are things that come to mind, like I should wear shorts. And then for a while I battled, no, don't wear shorts because it's slippery. Well, what if I don't teach crow today? Well, what if I want to teach crow at last minute? What if somebody suggests it? So then I'm wearing leggings. Well, what top should I wear? What sports bra should I wear? I felt like I was suffocating in this one last time. That's, like the Align tops. I don't know if you know the Align tops from Lululemon. I was gonna say Instagram. Why did the wrong words come up sometimes? But I'll have all these conversations in my mind of why that will make me feel like I'm suffocating. But if I just have a regular sports bra on, that will work. But if I choose this color, then that changes what leggings I wear or top. Do I want the top to be flowy? If I do, does it fit right? Like just all these things that go into it. Should it be much more simple than that? Yes. And in the days where I hardly had any leggings any workout tops, tank tops, or whatever before I did yoga. I used to wake up every single morning before my kids and work out. And I had one pair of leggings. And back then, I don't know if we called them leggings because they were more boot cut. They weren't capris or to the ankle. It just wasn't the style. This is in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s. I mean, before that, if you're old enough like I am, you remember we wore baggy shorts and baggy shirts, or maybe just shorts and baggy t-shirts and a sports bra. We didn't even wear tank tops hardly ever to work out. It's just like hide everything in the body or something with a big baggy t-shirt. I don't know how I did that because tank tops are so much more freeing for your arms, but I didn't have many choices for my leggings. I wore the same ones every day. And then I found some shorts at the thrift store that we used to have, the Goodwill, had Lululemon show up all the time, and I had an eye on it for it. It would be like it was a diamond. Is that a diamond in the rough? Like where it's just shining in the desert. I would see it and I'd go and grab it. My daughter would say, "How do you do that?" If it wasn't my size, she would get it. If it was, I would get it. But I had a pair of shorts, wore those shorts every day with a different tank top or whatever tank top I found at Ross. I had a few of these things, would wash them. If I got sweaty, I didn't get as sweaty at home, but it simplified things. Now I have so many options, and I'm glad I do because I teach in different environments or it's colder. I need to wear this instead, or I'm going to teach on Zoom. And because of that, it affects a lot of things when I used to have a microphone and wear it in my bra, it couldn't fall out, like all these things. So it just gets very complicated. And so you might have these conversations in your mind of debating things to make a decision. But what if you've made the decision and your brain resists? You think, I should go to the store, and what would be fun, this is real life example. I'm going to go to this health food store. Yes, it takes longer to get there, but I really want to go to that store. I haven't been able to get myself to go there. It takes a while to get there. It takes a while to do it. Do I want to take a chunk out of my day, 2 hours? Maybe not. But what if I tack it on to stopping by the gym that has an all women's sauna? I really like that sauna. That would entice me to go. And so I think I should do that. And as soon as I think that, I think, but you should really do this, but you should really do that. And I have all these arguments in my mind. Sometimes there are things that are fearful arguments, maybe not with the decision making, but with an idea that I have, I should do this. And then I start to think of all the reasons why I shouldn't. But it's this, but it's that, but it's ever. And if you just watch your own thought process throughout your day, you might recognize that you're doing that, that you come to a conclusion, you've made a decision, or you have this brilliant idea, I should do this. And as soon as you start to go do it, like I'm going to go make a phone call, I'll invite these people to do this or whatever, you come up with all these ideas of why you're not going to do it. And are they realistic counter thoughts? They might be. But for me, I feel like I'm living in fear or indecision or chaos when I do that, and I don't wanna do that. I don't wanna have my brain argue with itself all the time. Why would our brains do this? Why would we have a resistant mind? Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you. So, your brain often says no to things that you really want to do. Sometimes you're on the brink of doing something fascinating, amazing, wonderful, and you stop yourself. That could be fear. But it could also be your brain has to work harder when it's not comfortable, when it's not just on cruise control. Can you think of any time where you're actually doing things, you're being productive, not just watching some show multiple episodes in a row, but you're actually being productive and you're actually relaxed? And that's a wonderful way to be. I love being that way. But I also have a very creative mind, and a lot of women with ADHD do. You have a very creative mind, or you have some gifts and you are inspired for whatever reason, ideas come to your mind and you feel pulled to do that. And so you start to think, yes, and you even think of ways of doing it. And if you don't act on it right away, or at least write down what you want to do, that same brain that feels inspired to do something and has lots of ideas may forget about it. And you might think, I'm not going to forget about this because this is gold. This is golden. I won't forget about this. I know I still forget about things. When I tell myself you're not going to forget, I do. And so I've come up with little methods, whether it's just write it quickly in my planner or write it on a Google Doc or notes on my phone. It's not a perfect system, but if I write it down or I even pick up my phone and just make an audio recording of the ideas I have, the nice thing about that is you also get to hear your enthusiasm. And it's almost like you're describing to a friend what you want to do and you get more excited as you talk about it. And then later when you listen to that, you think, oh, yeah, listen to her. She knows it could work because that's the brink of that idea. It's the planning, the excitement, not even the detailed planning, but just the vision of what it could be. And then you might have some bullet points or some steps of how that could be accomplished. And maybe it's not all the little things, but it's the easy part of fulfilling a goal or a dream. The harder part is actually planning out what you're gonna do or actually saying it out loud to somebody else. If you have imposter syndrome, which I'm starting to believe almost everybody does. I mean, if now I can't even think of her name, the actress that Meryl Streep. I was gonna say actress that I didn't used to really love, and my husband doesn't like watching her at all, but Big Little Lies, oh my goodness, she's so good in that, and I didn't like her in Mamma Mia. Sorry, Meryl Streep. But I loved her in The Devil Wears Prada, and now there's gonna be a Devil Wears Prada too. So, yeah, I like her in certain roles. I like her, I think, when she's meaner. I think that's what it is. I like her when she's meaner. But anyway, I've heard that even Meryl Streep has said that she has imposter syndrome where she doubts herself, or other famous people who we know are very gifted at what they do that wonder, is someone gonna figure out that I'm really just doing this, but I'm not the greatest at it. There are people who think that, and they're actually the greatest at it or super, super great. And so you might have those thoughts that stop you, but you also just might have a resistant brain. You might have an argumentative brain. And if you even think about things that other people talk about, and it doesn't have to be something that's against your values even, you might just immediately put up a wall and think, "Nuh-uh, nuh-uh," or "I'm not gonna do that," or I probably mentioned before, I saw this in myself when I was little, and a teacher would say, and I don't know why they said it. I actually had a primary care doctor do this once. He was filling in for my doctor, and I thought, "Never will I go to you again if, like, if I find out you're, the one in the office." But he said, "Close your eyes and picture something that you think is really beautiful." I don't know what he was saying. It wasn't something beautiful because I could just think of nature. And then I go into the mode of, well, 1, I don't wanna close my eyes and do this. This seems dumb. It's not gonna help. And the second thing was I said something because I couldn't think of anything, and I don't have a creative mind when it comes to just writing a picture or making up a story for my grandchildren when they say, "Tell us a story." I am so not good at that. All I do is look at the obvious. I make up a story about a little girl with her name, like I actually draw upon what they did that day or that week. And because, yeah, I can't do that. So I told him it was a pony running through a field. I was never a child that loved ponies. It was so dumb. Oh my goodness. And I think I was having problems like getting lightheaded and dizzy a lot. And that's what he suggested because my hormone, tests or whatever you take to see if you have hormone imbalance or anything like that we're fine. So he was going with that. So anyway, but if you have a brain that when people suggest things and you just think, why are they doing it that way? They should do it this way. I don't know. Do you like to be in charge? Do you have a hard time following along with other people? For me, it depends on who they are and what they say. I love following along with a lot of people. And if I can learn from them or if they have good ideas. But yeah, I can be critical in my own mind. Hopefully it doesn't come out. Oh, yeah. Yes, that's another thing to work on is, not letting people always know what's in your head. But yeah, so why does our brain do this? Why do we have these arguments? Well, when we like things that are familiar, that are routine, that isn't outside of what feels comfortable to do. And if you have ADHD and your dopamine levels aren't at a level that they should be, it takes an extra jump or two to get up there. And so that's going to take more work than it might for somebody else who has an idea and acts on it. And, it's a big brain shift. My husband loves the spontaneity of things, and I probably do sometimes, but I'm more of a like, let's go on a trip. How about in 8 months? And I plan it out. How many days should we go? Or like right now, what is it? It's February. Where are we going for Easter? Are we going to have Easter here? When we used to live 3 hours from his parents, my parents were farther away, but where should we go for Easter? How long should we stay? Blah, 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 blah. Or whatever. I would plan out, like right now, I'm already planning my summer. And if I got invited to a wedding, I could make it work. But I don't like it when I hear about something that's like a month or 2 before summer, and I think, "You expect me to find out how to make this work in my summer when it's April?" Like, there's no way. It's frustrating for my brain. My brain needs time. It needs something that can grow slowly, that can be creative with my mind, and my husband's more like, "Are your shoes on? Let's go do this." "Everyone get your shoes on," and I'm like, "Wait, what?" And he loves that, and that's fun too. So it's been a good balance. We took one trip once when we had 5 children. We have 6, but I was expecting my 6th at the time, and it's probably in my 2nd trimester. I feel like I didn't really experience I went from not showing to showing in that in that on that trip because the trip was almost a month long, and we drove from California all the way to St. Louis and visited people along the way and visited some people on the way back. So, I wanted to get there, and I wanted to know that we could get there in a certain amount of time. So, the agreement that we made was you plan out all the things to getting there, and he'd plan all the things to getting back, and we had more time to get back. And we were spontaneous. We went through an Amish village. I never would have thought to go through an Amish village. That was the quietest my kids were the whole trip, just in awe. It was pretty cool. But, yeah, yeah. So, sometimes we have a hard time when your husband stops the car and says, "Let's all walk and see this trail over here. It's a historic spot." And I'm like, "What?" And I would literally say things like, "Man, it's not like this is so mind-boggling." But it was a big part of the trip. The kids are out there excited. I'm like, "Can I just sit in the car?" I just rather sit in the car like I wasn't planning on this. So it wasn't what my brain was expecting. And I had a hard time adjusting, but eventually I'd get out of the car. But I also did like the quiet, like I can just be in the car. Can you take the kids and do that? But I like things to be predictable. I also like things to be productive, but sometimes you might prefer predictable over being productive. That I could just stay on this website and scroll. I could go on to Amazon and check my subscribe and save. I don't know if you do subscribe and save and decide, do I want to push that back a month? Do I want to cancel? I mean, that is a predictable pattern that I've done since 2020. Since COVID, I learned about subscribe and save, changed it over time for sure. But it's so easy on my brain to do that and to just do the super manual tasks like that really don't take much energy. I'm not even getting up out of my chair. I might be laying on the floor. And so I might like that. That's comfortable for me. Being comfortable instead of growing, instead of going outside your box, that is human nature. That is protecting our brains because our brains cannot be on all the time. They can't always be learning. They can't always be stretching. They can't always be taking in new stimuli. and keeping track of it all. But sometimes it's exciting, and it's actually good for our brains to do that. For sure, it's good for our brains to do that, to go somewhere new, to drive somewhere without a map and figure it out. It's good for our brains, but it's not easy. And you're not being lazy by doing these things, but it's your natural tendency for the brain to want to do that, unless you're like this high adventure person who seeks, you get your adrenaline from doing the new things. And that might be setting a goal and going for it. You have no fear. You might be that way. And you might be that way about some things, but not others. So it's just noticing those patterns. And when you want to do something that's not your same day in and day out, and it gets really boring sometimes to do the same thing day in and day out. When I walk through the house and I'm seeing, oh, the dishwasher needs to be unloaded, I think, how many years have I been doing this? I'm not the only one in the house who does it, but still, yeah, it's very mundane. It's very mundane. So you add something that's not boring. You watch a TV show, listen to something, call a friend or whatever to tell yourself it's not boring to deal with it. But that's also brain protection, right? So this is why it's a little bit harder when you have ADHD, or a lot harder, because it might happen more for you than others. You might be in a group of people and you find that you're the only one that's having this resistance in your brain. So, first of all, the human brain's wired for efficiency and safety. We look for things that are safe. When things don't feel safe, our bodies change. When we find the easiest, best way, AKA systems, habits, that's efficient. We don't have to work as hard. Our brain doesn't have to use all that executive function when we're in a pattern. When we have a new action, a new thought, a new idea, it's uncertain, it's actually perceived as a threat in some ways because it doesn't feel safe anymore. We're outside of our box, right? So outside of the box, what does that mean? Am I jumping into the water? I'm not used to jumping into the water. Whatever, whatever a little, what do you call it? Parallel. I can't remember the names. I majored in English and I can't remember the word that starts with an M. That where you just use an example, and yeah, I'm just going to say parallel, but I'll think of it later when my brain's not trying. But your brain will feel this more intensely because your executive function is already hindered. You already have executive dysfunction. You have parts of the process that don't work well, and it's already taxed. It can get maxed out easier. And so it's easier just to run for cover when you think, I'm already trying to manage a lot right now. Why am I doing this? Do you ever actually make steps towards doing something great and wonderful and new that you want to do? And then you stop yourself at some point going, what am I doing? Like, it was safer over there. I do that with going on trips. A trip, anytime you go on a vacation or a trip, that is going outside of your normal routine. And then you go on that trip and you're going to have new experiences, see new people, see new places, whatever that is, unless you go somewhere that's familiar. And I think that's why people love cruises, although I have a major resistance to cruises. My brain resists cruises. I have all the ideas in my mind of why I would hate a cruise. I don't know if they're true or not, but I think they are true. So I doubt I'll ever go on a cruise. But anyway, so you're perceiving it in this way. To, you don't want to pursue it at some point, whether it's early in the stage or later, and you start to say, like for me, why am I going on this trip? And you start getting anxiety about it. You start to think of things that could go wrong, or maybe you didn't manage right or whatever. And you might feel a huge resistance, not only in your brain, but you can sense it in your body too. So, emotional regulation is something that we have to do to manage any kind of change or any emotions that come up, is regulate those emotions that come up, whether we're feeling fear, we're doing something that we know might be a hard environment to be in. You might go into a situation where you think this is going to be sad. It's not going to be easy. I'm going to go visit someone in the hospital. Can I handle this? And so that might make you hesitate more. That might make you think, I can't do this, whatever it is. So your brain makes all kinds of arguments. And maybe it's just not the right time. The delay is something my brain does a lot. Yeah, I really want to do that, but that would actually work better Thursday. That would, 2 weeks later, I still haven't done it because it always sounds better later on. I'd rather do this right now. And then I'm not doing what I wanted to do. I keep avoiding it. I keep avoiding it. I keep pushing it back. So you might say, I'm too tired. I don't have the energy to do it. Where if you did it, you might have the energy. That was something I learned early on with my exercise goals, is that I thought you had to have energy to exercise. And to a certain degree, you do. But cardio, certain kinds of exercise actually energize you. At least they do for me. I just start going, oh, yeah, I forgot how fun this was. I forgot how fun it was. And so if I'm too tired, that's not an excuse that actually is valid because I might be not as tired if I actually do it. So, yeah. Or, why did I even have this idea, kind of second guessing yourself, telling you it doesn't matter if you do it or not. I don't feel like it. It might feel logical, but there are thoughts that come up that are contradicting your initial thought or your goals. So, I'm not going to give you, honestly, I should. So, I think I just interrupted myself 4 times. But if you notice this happening during the day, when I notice this happening, I think I need to talk about this on my podcast. When I come here, I don't think of any of the examples, but hopefully you're thinking of some for yourself because I don't write them down, and I probably should. But what's important to recognize with resistance is it's not an indication that you have to stop. It's an indication that you're having a battle in your mind. And it's a signal. It's something, it's noticing that you have resistance doesn't mean that this must mean it's not a good idea. There are times when you have a really bad feeling about something, like you're planning to do something, you have a feeling, I probably shouldn't go on that trip. I can think of 2 examples of relatives who've done this in the past year or so. One was my cousin coming to go to a concert with me, and she was coming across the country to see my beloved Sting and her beloved Sting too. And at some point, she started thinking, "You know what? Maybe I shouldn't go on this trip." And she just had a bad feeling about it. And she even reached out to me and said, "Do you still wanna go?" Because I had some things going on with my dad's health. And I said, "No, I still wanna go. I still wanna go. I'm not going. I'm planning to go there, like, in a month, and yeah, let's still do it." So I think she was probably like, later when I found out what was going on, she was probably thinking, "You know what? Maybe she can't go either, and this would be better." So about maybe 5 days before the trip, almost a week before the trip, she said, "I need to cancel. I'm really sorry if you can't sell the ticket. That's fine, won't need a refund, but I've been feeling like I shouldn't go." And then that was when there were a whole bunch of airline cancellations during the government shutdown. And she said, when I saw that on the news, I thought, you know what, this must be, if they're canceling that many flights and I have a layover in big airports, I'm just not going to go. And I said, okay. And what ended up happening was it did simplify a lot of things here because I had a grandson's birthday, all these things, but I still would have loved it. But 2 nights before the concert, I go on just to check to see if her tickets sold. The concert was canceled. My concert was canceled, and it took me another day to even get an email from the ticket place to tell me, but I just saw it there, and I thought, "What?" And it had it, like, postponed, and then I went to Sting's website, it was actually canceled. I mean, they haven't rebooked the location that I went to, so we got a full refund. And the other ones, they gave you an option if you buy it on Ticketmaster, and I didn't. I bought them discounted, so I didn't have an option until it was for sure canceled. They couldn't reschedule. But her feeling to not go really made a difference because she would have flown out here, probably had airport problems, but arrived the day before we found out that it was canceled, and then been here for a couple days, which could have been nice, but she has a family. I had things going on, so she listened to that, and there are times that you just get that feeling. The other person that didn't come that canceled a trip that he was gonna come, my daughter-in-law's father, he said, "I just don't feel like we should come." They were gonna plan to come out to Florida, to Tampa and to here, and that was when there was Hurricane Milton. Was that the one? There were 2 hurricanes out that year, and one of them was really destructive, St. Petersburg, Tampa, and he had a feeling a few months before not to come that weekend. So, sometimes you have those feelings. Notice the resistance. Is it a pattern of resistance or does this feel different? Because you can honor things and you should when it really feels like this is a prompting. I need to go with this feeling that I'm having. But if it's just a lot of thoughts of, I don't know where to start, I don't want to do that yet, da, 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 it's not a good day to declutter, I can't do that right now because I need to do this, whatever it is, your mind is creating reasons to prevent you from starting because it's easier than starting a new thing. And noticing that and reframing it and seeing, "Hey, I see what's going on. This isn't a give up moment. This isn't a point where I need to stop and I'm not going to do it." And just tell yourself, "I'm closer to doing it. I'm even closer than I was before because I'm about to get over this hurdle." I can see that barrier and I can move that barrier. And you can just get yourself to do a single part of it. You can notice that argument coming, tell yourself, "I hear you, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm doing it anyway." That might happen, all the fearful thoughts that come up. When I say fearful, they're not like scary things, but they honestly are about all the what ifs, what ifs, what ifs, what ifs. And I don't know about you, but what ifs, the reality, you can see them in other people when they say, "What if?" And you go, "It's not going to happen." That's like 1 in 1,000 chance, and you can hit back other people's arguments all the time. Like I mentioned, you're teaching a class and the children raise their hand and you can go, you can fix their resistance because it's not as powerful. It's not coming from your mind. When it's in your own mind, it can be more powerful. So just know my brain's going to do this. It tends to do this. And then take whatever it is that you want to do and just go do a little bit of it. Just do something so little, like let's say you want to declutter and you keep telling yourself, "Today's not the day. I need to do this first. I need to do this first," all those things. Just go get some boxes and bags and have them ready. And then the next time you walk in, you might go, "Actually, I'm going to get rid of a bunch of the clothes just from this hanger section." What is it called in the closet? This pole. I have a bigger closet now, so I have more than one pole in the closet, but to hang my hangers on. But yeah, just do part of it and still work toward it. The more you allow that arguing to continue, the stronger it'll get. So don't don't try to fight it and rationalize with it. Just know that it's happening. Kind of push it aside, say, "I'm doing this anyway." And don't try to say, "Well, actually that probably won't happen. It's fine to do this." And then create just some form of action. You will resist the resistance if you're creating action. So think about that. By stepping over it, by doing it anyway. If I have resistance when my husband says, used to say when our kids were at home, like, "Let's go here. Are your shoes on? Grab your coat." And my resistance is like, "Ugh, I don't want to go." And I'm sure there were times I didn't go, but just getting up out of where I was and putting some shoes on and grabbing a coat, that action is disrupting my resistance. And I might actually get some excitement. I might feel that. So you don't have to win the argument in your head. You just need to take a little step. Even if that argument's still going on in your mind, just take a step toward it because it can continue and it can spiral. For sure, for sure. Oh my goodness. I think that's going to be it. Oh my goodness. I I've had my phone alarm disrupt me before while I'm while I'm talking, and then I have to edit it out. But I set my alarm and it's not going off for 8 minutes. So I need to end before then. But I did set it just so I don't miss my appointment. I have a doctor's appointment and I wanted to make sure I left on time. But I'm glad I could be here to talk to you today And I hope this helps you in some way because our thoughts can just get in the way. Our thoughts are super helpful too, but they can get in the way. And so just observing your thoughts, what's going on in your head, it can help your mindset. It can help you move forward with the things that you want. And then you won't feel like, why didn't I get anything done? Because you just keep going through those loops of arguments. And then you go in another room and you think of something else to do or another project you want to start. And you think, well, I don't know if I should do this right now because blah, 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 blah. Move toward one. Take those steps, just create some form of action to disrupt that whole discussion in your brain. And let me know how you're doing. I apologize to anyone who's come to my website if I haven't had my contact stuff worked out right. I'm going to get there. I really am. That's one of those things that I have a whole bunch of things that I'm trying to decide which is the most important and can I spend enough time to actually get it all moving like a machine. But if you really want to get in touch with me, just go on there. There's somewhere that says email Renee, and you can just click on it and you can just email me or sign up for any of my offerings. And you should get an email and have my email address, whether you read my email or not. You can always write back because I read those emails every day when I get them. So that is it. If you missed my last episode, I don't even remember what it was about, but I created a new song that goes at the end of the song that's at the end. That's me. I think. I don't know. I have the song that's the intro song and the parts that are at the end. That's a song that my son wrote. I don't know if he wrote it with my daughter, if he wrote it and then she sang with him, or if they wrote it together. They probably wrote it together. I think she was home from college. He was still in high school. He used to write songs all the time, record them. And I used to forget. I didn't know I had ADHD then, or that he did. But and he probably says he doesn't. But anyway, he used to say, Mom, I'm going to record a song. Don't come in. I'm like, okay. And then I go in the other room. I would always forget. And I'd come in and he's like partway through, he's recording it and everything. And I come in doing whatever I'm doing and make noise. I feel so bad about it. We didn't have a door to that room. I feel really bad. But he eventually, I think that song they recorded up in my bedroom. It had a door. It was away from everything else. But I love the song called Without a Cause by my son and daughter. And then I wrote just a little jingle to help remind you to like, subscribe, leave a review. Even if you don't watch on YouTube, go and subscribe just so I have more people on there. And you can always write a comment there too. But thank you so much for being here. Honestly, I don't remember which order. I think I don't know. Yeah, I really don't remember. So you'll either hear my end song and then my jingle or the jingle and the end song. I have to look at the last one and see what I did because my brain can't keep it all in. But thank you so much. I will be back hopefully sooner than later. At least once a week, but hopefully back to 2 eventually. Talk to you later. Bye. Help other women find the show. Rate, review, share with someone you know. Help other women find the show. Rate, review, share with someone you know. Help other women find my show. Rate, review, share with someone you know. Thank you so much.
Double chins, rubber ducks, squeaky cheese and paper cups, applesauce, Superman, rocket ships and Peter Pan, boogie boards and parachutes and soda cans, jumping jacks and pillowcases for my hands, Donald Duck and fire trucks and Pokemon, Santa Claus and Johnny Depp and Donkey Kong, chocolate chips and zipper zips and 914, little children jumping on the trampoline, model trains and passing lanes and super glue, tangerines and magazines and kangaroo.
Oh yeah. Daily Rock.
Rewind, I've run out of time to sing melodies and harmonies. I'm cut short, the silence of sound has yet been found, but not by me. dreams are left for tomorrow. Without a cause, no time for a pause. Rewind, I've run out of time to sing melodies and harmonies. I'm cut short, the silence of sound has yet been found, but not by me.